Hey, how's it going, guys? We're back here for another episode of EOS Ignite, Tokenomics and DAX. We have our special guest, Justin, from Infinity Block. And yeah, really, and you're still with EOS Blocksmith too, right?
More so just as like a casual advisor. I advise
Okay.
them as a friend, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty much full time on with Infinity Block now.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
just advisor to EOS Blocksmith, but mainly Infinity Block. But yeah, so glad to have you back here for another episode. We just try to kind of keep consistent and give our opinions about what's going on with tokenomics and DAX in EOS. So last week I attempted to do a Bancor video. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago now, I think, and it didn't turn out so well. I'm not. I haven't even released the video. It was a little bit of a difficult topic to go discuss on the fly, especially. It's a complicated white paper. So, but I thought it'd be nice to try to maybe discuss it after seeing the EOS Weekly video that you told me about. I did watch it right before this kind of webcast here. And number one, EOS Weekly is a great channel. Definitely subscribe to it if you guys haven't. The guy who does that YouTube channel does a really good job simplifying, creating great animations, and really educating people about how things work in EOS. So definitely subscribe to his channel. And it's sometimes it makes it hopefully easier for us to refer people to that and maybe have a follow-up discussion and try to see if there's any other maybe points we can kind of clarify a little bit more, or just have open-ended questions about if after watching the video we still have questions. But again, I'll put the video as a link. But yeah, what do you think, Justin? Maybe just we could discuss Bancor again, and maybe share your thoughts about it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's amazing and kind of. I guess traditionally you have like an order book on an exchange, and people putting in buy orders and sell orders, and there's that matching, and you require kind of humans or sometimes bots as well to actually place these buy and sell orders and match the orders. And Bancor really, I guess, allows you to move away from that. And you basically have an algorithm setting the price based on kind of the buying and selling behavior. And as a user, you can just go into a wallet or the Bancor website itself, bancor.network, and you're just placing an order, and then the algorithm itself is matching that order. And in order to do that, you obviously have to have tokens that are there constantly to fill those orders. So it's quite interesting, and yeah, it's something that I'm still trying to get my head around exactly how it works. Because yeah, from my understanding, like if you are releasing a brand new token, Bancor requires you to buy a certain amount of Bancor tokens. Say it's 50,000 Bancor tokens, and then you need to also put in a bunch of your tokens, say 5 or 10% of your supply. But what I just don't understand is if you don't pre-fill these relay accounts with enough liquidity from day one, it seems like there's low liquidity in the market constantly. Actually, if I get my screen up, I'll give people an example.
Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great to dig in a little bit. We're getting a little advanced here, but definitely watch the EOS Weekly video first. And they give a example of watermelons exchanging with grapes. I think it simplifies things. I thought it was fantastic. Great animations, Pac-Man and ghosts, and And EOS Weekly does a great job. But so this is a follow-on, and I just Justin, you're going a little bit more advanced with.
Yeah. We can go back to we could actually show everyone the video to begin with, if you want to do that. Or at least the part that goes over the watermelon and the grapes kind of metaphor. Should we run over that quickly?
Well, yeah, it's a 13-minute video. So, and
just that snippet, maybe.
Okay, sure. So maybe that snippet. And Jaron, he saw it. So maybe just highlight what you think is the kind of the high level summary of that concept. And,
okay.
Well, feel free to show the video too.
Or at least, that screenshot.
Just that, that clip of, I think it's probably like a 20-second clip or something like that of at least the exchange of the.
Is my screen showing right now?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. One sec. Share screen. Tell me if it works this time. I'll just try the Chrome tab. Is it working now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me get to... Okay, I think here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this.
Cool. And the audio, maybe we might not need audio, but we can give a play-by-play commentary.
So is the audio coming through?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll explain it then as we go through.
So you could speak while you're listening to, just repeating what they say and paraphrasing.
So basically they're comparing watermelons as they are priced against grapes. So this is like the start of the creation of a market using the Bancor protocol, basically. So they're saying, actually, maybe it's kind of distracting having the voiceover. So let me get the subtitles on. English auto-generated and...
The translation's a little bit off here.
a bit off, yeah. So they're saying if you set up a stand, and basically this is the starting piece where you've got that many grapes and this many watermelons. So it seems people are buying up the watermelons. The watermelons are the popular thing. So everyone's trading their grapes for watermelons. So as you do that, there's an adjustment to the pricing of the grapes to watermelon. So it begins with 1-to-1. If you take one grape, you get one watermelon. And then so after that first order is made, the price gets adjusted by the algorithm to be 2 grapes for one watermelon. And then assuming it continues to be one-way traffic and people trading their grapes for watermelons, you get to a point where you've got 50 grapes for one watermelon. So you're getting to a point where the price stabilizes. And then maybe at that point, you're at a point where people agree that that's the price. And then actually it's been overbought. So then they start actually trading their watermelons for grapes.
So the equilibrium price is kind of around 48 grapes to one watermelon eventually. So
exactly.
Okay. Okay, so that's cool. And then, just imagine all the tokens are different fruits, and it's the same concept where one token is the grape and one token is the watermelon. And in their example, they just made the central token, the Bancor token, the grape, and then you'd have other fruits that trade against the Bancor grape token.
Exactly. So in theory, if you have constantly the same roughly amount of people or amount of purchases of grapes and watermelons, it'll just go back and forward at the same price, and you've got that stabilization. But the reality is, like, someone might come along and they are making watermelon juice, so they want to buy a ton of watermelons. And if you don't have a liquidity depth that is significant enough, that single order of a bunch of watermelons is going to suddenly like change the price. And the way it works is as you're buying throughout that buy order, it changes the price or the average price that you're getting those watermelons at. So it's a great tool as long as there's a certain depth. So say if you're buying 10 watermelons and there's only 100 watermelons available, it's quite likely that you're going to change the price like over 10%. So that's not a great thing if you want to buy 10 watermelons compared to buying it on a relatively liquid exchange. So that's the problem that I see, I guess.
Yeah.
If the relay accounts are not filled with a ton of both the BNT tokens and the token you want to buy and sell, then you can change the price really quickly, and it makes it not a very useful tool for buying like a significant amount or selling a significant amount.
Oh, that's interesting. Just the practical experience that you have and seeing the, I guess, the liquidity issues, even using this algorithm. Now, so you need to deposit a certain amount of BNT tokens. And I guess the larger amount that you deposit, the more liquidity. So if you have, and then also how much of your tokens do you have to deposit? I mean, there's 2 tokens you have to deposit in this system.
Yeah.
Like you're an originator of this market, I guess, or this creator. Is that how it works, where you need to deposit both BNT and let's say you got infinity block tokens? So infinity block tokens you would also have to deposit in the smart contract.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay.
So I don't know if you give up, or I guess you don't give up ownership of those tokens, but you just create the initial. It's like market making.
Okay.
But there needs to be all those tokens in the contract, so it's ready for people to buy and sell. So I'll just show another screen here.
And so Jaron asked, do you create your own buffer? So, and I'm wondering, maybe it would be good to understand, who is providing the deposit for BNT and the token. Is it the token creator? If I'm like doing an ICO, I want to get liquidity. I say I'm going to put 10% of my tokens in this Bancor project or platform, and then I also need to purchase Bancor, and then I'll have some liquidity that way. Is that how you see that?
I believe it's the token creator that actually needs to buy up the BNT tokens and deposit them.
Okay.
So if you look at the liquidity depth, you can see that BNT, obviously, it's got a fair bit of liquidity, which makes sense because it's, it's the base token that everything's trading with. And And then EOS has 268,000, which isn't too bad. It's not a hell of a lot. But then as you go down, you can see like, I mean, Karma has only got $7,206 worth of depth. So, I mean, if you put $1,000 order on Karma, no matter which token you're swapping for that Karma, then that price is going to drift drastically with the way that the algorithm adjusts it, even on a single order.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And can you explain the liquidity depth?
Yeah, let me see. So this is the market depth of this token within the Bancor network. I believe this actually means just how much US dollars worth of that token is deposited in the relay account that it's being bought from. So there's only $7,200 worth.
Okay.
Not very much.
So you have $7,200 worth of, let's say, Karma tokens?
That's correct, yes.
And then on the other side, in terms of the Bancor deposit, how, is there an idea of how much there are of Bancor tokens compared to the value of Karma tokens? And is that somehow the ratio?
That's a good point. I don't know if it's shared between all of these tokens, this 8,500,000. Let me click in and see if there's more info. No, this is just a basic social profile for it. You can actually see it on chain. Not sure what the accounts are for it.
Yes. So without going too much into the details, there is some sort of ratio that each of these tokens have. And I forget what the term they use for that ratio is, but it seems like a very simple ratio. We'll have to see exactly for each token what that is and how that can be assigned. But it's good to know the liquidity, because for whatever the ratio or the technical details there are, you're saying that because there's only $7,000 worth of this liquidity, that I imagine if you have any sizable order, maybe 10% of that you're going to be significantly impacted in terms of pricing when you put that order in for that's equivalent to 10% of the liquidity is available, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you may have to probably even spread it out where you're doing, okay, I'll do a $50 each week so that someone can kind of adjust back into it, or buy on the other side and go convert the other way, so that it's not like you're making one big order. And in regular markets, this happens all the time, where you're trying to, how much liquidity do you have in a regular market if there's not enough orders on the other side, and you are going to have to take a significant hit. But usually what you do is you spread it out over time, and you try to average out, so that the liquidity and the spreads don't hurt you too much. So I assume you could do something similar there. But then again, like, what is the kind of advantage beyond kind of the simplicity, especially if there is kind of a lack of liquidity, right? So anyways, this is interesting. It's interesting. Like I did notice you, and we spoke with another person who noticed that there was very bad pricing, especially on bigger orders and in liquid markets. So I'm wondering how that could be fixed, or how that can be improved, because they're supposed to solve the liquidity problem, right? And
no, definitely.
So,
and that's what I worry about, is people think that like Bancor is this magic thing that solves liquidity, and because you can never actually buy up all of it because the pricing adjusts so drastically, or sell all of or you can sell as much as you want, but you can't buy all of a token because it gets extremely expensive. So people think it's a magic thing, but like a magic bullet. But the reality is, like, to do that, you have to pay a ridiculous price if you buy out the whole, or even try and get remotely close to buying out the order book.
Yeah, that is good, great to know. And Justin, yeah, we're talking about Bancor right now. It's a hot topic of today. Dan Larimer seems to like using this algorithm. It does simplify things. To find a way to create a market without an order book is actually very useful. But then the flip side is, okay, if we really dig into it, you know, how advantageous is this? Especially is the pricing mechanism at least similar to what we would get in a regular order book market? And ultimately, is the formula that they use to adjust for pricing, how does that compare with an order book market, depending on the size of the orders you put? Because if it is too disadvantageous pricing wise, and it doesn't reflect kind of reality, then maybe it doesn't have as much benefit. So I'm trying to figure that out. And then instinctually, I start to think that the arbitrage in the system that they talk about in the video and is that there's people making money off of this arbitrage, because if the formula is not consistent with the regular markets, the arbitrageurs will just buy it in a regular trading market and see like take the opposite and you know and so they'll fix it, but like who's making, like there's probably like these real big discrepancies that are kind of being taken, right? And I think on the flip side, whoever's on the flip side of that, I assume they're making money, right? A lot of money off of like big orders being sent in without really knowing, you know, what kind of pricing they're getting. So, but it'd be interesting, like, see how do the arbitrage fit into this? How does it compare to the regular markets? You know?
Well, yeah, I guess arbitrage is what fixes the price, like you say, because someone sees that opportunity. If someone's overbought, say Karma, and that the Karma price gets crazy high, you know, an arbitrager from another exchange is going to go, oh, actually, I'm going to utilize this opportunity. I'm going to put Karma into Bancor and get a really good price. But then I guess they're going to return it to what its actual value is. Karma versus EOS, like the Karma EOS price will return to where it is on other exchanges. But once you've returned it to that price point, you know, at what point is the actual liquidity depth actually going to improve on that? That's where it gets really confusing and interesting, I think.
Okay, so you there's some adjustment mechanism, but maybe
yeah.
But is it like, because it's maybe more of a fixed formula, not fixed, but is maybe dynamic, but it's like the I guess the rate of change of pricing is more arbitrary than naturally what you see in a market, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost always like you get this bad pricing almost every time, because maybe the ratio is just such that it's always like that no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, because I think there is something there where, okay, so we have to be careful about like how good the formula is in reflecting what you would normally get in an order book market. What's more advantageous if you have big orders that you could spread out over time? And so that'd be a great question to kind of see. So anyway, so let's answer some of the questions that are popping up here, just so that we can catch up. Justin, and let me see. Yeah, it's, you know, it is like Justin says, it's like a market making model, right? You know, it's they kind of replace what a market maker would do in a they you know, market makers take both sides of the market, they try to create the liquidity, and they manage it themselves. So this is another way to think about it, as another way of doing that. And so, okay, Bancor team is likely the arbitrager. That's what Justin says. And Jaron says, could one compare this to wrapping ETH to trade on a decentralized exchange, paid to trade? Do you get that question, Justin?
I haven't traded on Ethereum recently, but from what I remember, yeah, you do, like, you store your Ethereum in a smart contract, right? While you're doing the trades. So I think it works a little bit differently on Bancor in that it's like more, it actually happens instantly. But I don't know if it gets wrapped.
Oh, and Justin actually answered the question. He said, yes, it always costs money in one way or another to transfer risk, no matter how you paint it. So he says, yes, it is comparing wrapping ETH to trade on a decentralized exchange is similar.
I guess it sort of is somewhat similar. Yeah.
Okay, so Justin has to run. So, all right. So I think, yeah. So that's a great question, though. I think we should kind of wait and see, and it'd be good to just check and do some raw testing, right? Like you put in $1,000 order, like in a liquid market for Karma, and you do it using Bancor. You do the same $1,000 order on a regular exchange, one with an order book, and see what kind of pricing you get, right? Like you just and it's time as well, because when you put in an order, you just put a limit order. This one's instantaneous, so it's like you do have to sacrifice something. Just do a market order, I guess. Put a market order in.
That would be sort of equivalent, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and see what kind of pricing you get, and then that's a raw way to test it, to see, like, do an analysis, because I do think, maybe if it's a rigid formula, as you say, then there's some concerns there. I think the ease is great. Not having an order book is fantastic, but you kind of have to test it out and see. Any others? So we'll try to wrap up a little bit earlier this time, but that's a great observation, Justin. And I think it's something to look at and see. And sometimes the formula too, as the exchanges go back and forth, is there a different way to create a formula that's maybe has a few other parameters, but tries to mimic what a normal market would, how a normal market will behave? You could probably find a way to create alternative non-order book systems, right? Where you're just playing the moneymaker.
Maybe there could be something that we're missing. So effective price equals connected tokens exchange divided by smart tokens exchange. It's kind of what is considered a connected token?
I think the connected tokens are considered probably the Bancor tokens.
Yeah.
And the smart tokens are, let's say, something like Karma.
It's very confusing.
We should definitely take a deep dive into the formula as well. And as EOS Weekly also mentioned, and I experienced from trying to go over this a couple weeks ago, that it's probably takes a little bit of some time to go through the actual math behind the
definitely
algorithm. So, but yeah, I think maybe we should do that. We should. I think it'd be a good exercise. And a couple of weeks ago, I thought the same thing. But I like the way you had a kind of a practical observation of using Bancor and maybe some of the liquidity issues that you're at least observing when you use the platform. So,
it's funny how they say no spread, but isn't it it really is a spread when you buy it, and it's very sensitive because there is a low liquidity volume. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, so the spread's embedded in the pricing, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, yeah. It's
I guess they don't call it a spread because it's like happens logarithmically, like it happens slowly.
Yeah.
But it happens quickly over a single buy order if there is that low liquidity volume. So, I mean, technically it's not a spread, but in reality, it's the equivalent of having a huge spread between a buy and a sell order.
Yeah.
In theory, like, unless it is one of the tokens like EOS and Ethereum, where there is a much higher level of volume.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, it's a technicality, I think, when they say no spread is my assumption right now, because it does seem that the price adjusts based on how big your order is pretty significantly. So,
yeah.
So anyways, I think this is great to look in deeper into, especially this is what the RAM market uses, and it's something that Dan Larimer seems to be a fan of. So we'll see. We dig into it and see how robust it is. So
Jaron's asking, could you then compare this to our STO where they are pegging the Bancor token to the offered tokens? Just to clarify, Jaron, are you referring to an STO that's issued over the Bancor network? Is that something they've been doing? Or are you referring to just like, how does it compare to just a general STO? Okay, I think he just means generally. So I guess like this is more comparable to an airdrop in a way. I don't think it's not really an offering but it sort of is when you're pre-filling. Yeah, it does make trading easier, but it's perhaps a sneaky way to do an STO without doing an STO. A bit like doing airdrops for a portion of, your token cap, and then selling into the market after the market is there. This is somewhat like that, I guess. But yeah, it actually is more of a parallel to an STO. It's a bit of a gray area. It's somewhere in between, right? Yeah, it's a huge marketing aspect. That's a good point, Jaron. I think like when you release a new token, one of the hardest things is that, the investors and traders that, they don't want to be stuck holding bags of a token or coin that doesn't have any liquidity. It's definitely, so it'll be interesting to see Meet one of the sister chains that has the Bancor. It is on Bancor, whereas some of the other sister chains like Telos and Warbly are not on Bancor. And I wonder if that will be, how much of a benefit that will be to Meet one. Obviously, one big thing about Bancor is that it does get you on CoinMarketCap. So that's a significant amount of visibility still. Hopefully in the future that won't be as big a deal, but for now I think being visible on CoinMarketCap is huge. Wobbly and Telos are not on CoinMarketCap, so if people type it in, they can't find. In fact, I think on Telos, if they type it in, there's another coin called Telos coin, and you have that issue of people getting confused. So yeah, that's a huge aspect.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that is another practical consideration when you have a new project.
But definitely, very sort of people who are new to crypto, the fact that they can just trade and it's just like, I've got some EOS, I want to swap it for this other token. Having that UX of just, I want to swap, that makes it so much simpler.
Far better. Like Shapeshift.
Great for adoption.
Yeah, Shapeshift is similar.
Definitely.
Kyber Networks it has that kind of UX, and I think that's the trend for sure, by far. So.
Yeah. And I always think if you're a newbie or a non-trader, kind of the benefit, there's far more of a risk that you'll trade poorly and fudge the numbers using an exchange. So even though
making a bad order like on
adding an extra zero. So the extra amount of fees that you'll pay with something like a Shapeshift or a Chain Jelly or a Bancor, maybe it's worth it because it saves you the risk of totally screwing up.
Yeah, no, that could be the case. I think so. All right. Yeah, ease of use is definitely a incredible real value in terms of costs for mistakes and just mental transaction energy that people are expending. So it's actually like real value you can save people from. So all right. So I think that's it. I think we'll wrap up. Any last comments, Justin? And thanks, Jaron, for tuning in. Keep doing it.
No comments for me, but I'm looking forward to. It's actually interesting. The Engine wallet on Samsung has integrated Bancor, so I think hopefully through all the extra users, I don't know how many millions of users are on Samsung Galaxy S10, I think it is. But hopefully that will, increase the usage of Bancor. And if there is a way that the liquidity increases on some of these tokens, then I think it will happen through this.
That sounds good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there, and we should dig in to do a part 2 on this. Dive into the math formulas. We should probably prepare a little bit and
we need a mathematician or
we should bring a mathematician here. So yeah, let's think about that, and let's just do a follow-up on that, and then that'll be, I think, the in-depth version, and we'll go from there. So and Jaron's gonna go ahead and dive in himself, which is great. So I think maybe you could join our show and let us know what you get, Jaron. So all right, so we'll wrap up. Really appreciate it. See you guys next week, and
thanks, guys.
Enjoy the journey. So see you guys.
Next week, everyone.